Over to you, Joe. There's your clicker.
Right. Hi, I'm Joe. I'm a postdoc at SAMS working on the North Sea 3D project with John and Tom. I'm a benthic ecologist, but I'm going to talk about something a little bit different, which is a kind of offshoot from the North Sea 3D project, which is all about creating virtual reality environments to promote the understanding of structures in the marine environment. So everyone in this room knows that when you put a structure in the sea, that's not the end of the story. You know, I spend my days staring at footage like this, which can be really quite beautiful. You know, these structures attract life, whether it is what we call marine growth, so the epibiota living on the structure, which can have incredibly high biomass, high diversity. And certainly adds to the surrounding environment, which is otherwise a soft sediment environment. And indeed, fish and marine predators are all attracted to these environments, and there's elements of invasive species, or something like Lophelia here, huge amounts of endangered species growing on these structures. And so all of us are kind of basically discussing, all right, well, what does this mean for the wider environment? What does it mean for the future of somewhere like the North Sea? In terms of all of the structures we're putting in, and those structures that might well be coming out at some point, or are destined to come out. And so we're kind of reaching a consensus that there are both positive and negative aspects of these structures, and they have to be kind of treated in that way. But what about the public? I don't know about you, but if I talk to anybody about, you know, man-made structures in the sea who isn't in this world, then they don't really think about it from one day to the next. And I guess that's because they're out of sight, out of mind. And that's partly why we're putting so much wind structures out in the sea, is because basically it's a lot easier for planning. I mean, there's also a lot more wind out there. But if we're going to change how we go about decommissioning, I think we need to bring the public with us. And so they need to be much more aware of the environment that comes with these structures. So in North Sea 3D, we are inherently producing a lot of we deal with a lot of very interesting multimedia that comes from industry ROV footage, but we also produce our own. So we kind of thought we were in a really good position to share this with the public. So this is one of some of our 3D models, and then it's got the AI overlay, which is all of John's amazing work. So I think it was a couple of years ago now, there was a call for some Insight extended funding for the Phase 2 projects, and we applied based on a number of projects, and one of that was basically outreach. We wanted to go out there and explain to the public the life that is associated with offshore structures, and start to have a dialogue with, what should be going on with these in the future, whether the ones that are there should be the OSPAR 98.3, what do people think about it, not really to have an agenda, but to begin a discussion. So one of the first things we did was we went to Dynamic Earth here in Edinburgh for a marine careers showcase for school children. There was about 600 school kids over about 5 hours. It was manic. I would not recommend it. I think John's face kind of here really gives away, yeah. But we had various aspects. We brought our ROV. We brought a massive lump of Lophelia. We had videos showing ROV footage. But the thing that really, really engaged with the kids was the VR. And the VR at that point was basically just, I think it was actually the model that formed our publication. So it was a dive I did on a reef off Oban. And they loved it. And I think it was more than just beyond, it's technology. They were also interacting with the content of the VR. So this got us thinking, okay, what can we do? And around that time, we were contacted by Rachel Pearl, who, if any of you were here last year, she brought this structure along, which was one of her projects, which is all about using 3D printing to kind of generate, I guess, a nature-inclusive retrospective design on old oil and gas structures. And she was really interested to collaborate with us, and we were interested to collaborate with her. And she works on a master's course at the University of Arts London, at the Central St Martin's campus. That's a narrative environment. It's all about researchers designs and develop stories about science, technology, and society that test the boundaries of space and time. It's not what we normally work with, you know, but it was interesting, very, very interesting. And we got discussing, and so at Central St Martin's, they have a huge digital element. And so we went about discussing how we could actually develop the VR. And so in the end, we collaborated on a project where 7 of their students worked on it over 6 weeks, where we wanted to basically, our vision was to produce a huge VR model from all of our 3D models of an offshore structure, so people could explore it and to really get a sense of the scale of something like this and the amount of life associated with it. There were some lessons learned along the way. I think we kind of naively thought we could give them a load of the models that we have created and they could directly apply that to their VR world and make a structure which was completely composed of real models of marine growth. That was very much not the case. And I think lessons went the other way as well, that these people had, you know, they don't have a marine ecology background. So the initial models had all kinds of interesting species going around them. So we had little dories going around the North Sea. The visibility was incredible. And bubbles coming out of the seabed at all spaces. But it was a really interesting process for all of us involved. And actually, so what we got down to was, in the end, a structure that was made. The marine growth is very much artificial, but it's a working process. So here are some images of the VR environment. We've very much got kind of, it's jumping a bit, a zonation from a kind of macroalgal dominated shallow area. These are their renditions of anemones, which it works very well, and some Alcyonium soft corals. It is jumping a bit, but ignore the lines. That's the path of the seal, which I couldn't quite get out of the video. The video is a bit. Doesn't really matter, because actually, if you want to give it a go, we are right outside, and we do have the VR environment, so you can give it a go. But we were really impressed. This was 6 weeks' work from 7 students, not full-time. And I think it was giving us a really clear indication of, if we were to progress this technology, where we could go with it. So where we have been taking it is science festivals. So far, we went to the Edinburgh Science Festival last month. We had 1,000 visitors in one day. Yeah, I say we, I wasn't there. John was. I was in the Red Sea with Sam's students, so I had a great time. But I am going to Glasgow. But it was really good, actually, because from what I hear, we have, obviously, the VR, which is very, very interactive with the kids. They're very drawn to that. But their parents are there as well. And so whilst the kids are kind of interacting with the VR, and someone's obviously talking to them about the marine life, we're able to interact with the parents. So it's, you know, we're able to kind of educate across all levels. And we will also be going to Glasgow Science Festival, where I will be. And that's in Botanics from the 7th to 8th of June. So if you're interested, please do come along. And hopefully that's me wrapping up, yeah. We will be outside. Please do come along and talk to us. Very interested in hearing what anybody has to say about how else we can use this technology, because at the moment we're obviously using it for outreach, and we can see how it could be used for maybe training ROV pilots in you know, the appropriate kind of courses for photogrammetry surveys, but we think it's got a lot of uses. The audio. Oh yeah, I meant to remember that, yeah. Sorry, there is also audio, which we thought was quite important, and the audio is tapped into the VR headset, and that is basically, it's recordings taken from actual functioning platforms. So there's cods, there's seals, there's porpoises, and I think there's the hum of the structure itself. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.